Hello, Miss Spitzer here. For this activity, you're going to want to grab the sheet of paper that says Oil Pastel Techniques and glue or tape it into your sketchbook. Okay, once you've done that, you're going to want to take a look at the paper at your table. There will be sheets that are white, and then there will be sheets that are other colors like black or gray or blue. Any of the colors will work just fine. Pick the one that you like best. Okay, notice that this paper has texture on it. It's called the tooth of the paper and it is used for pastel, oil, or chalk. Okay, you cannot use a smooth paper when dealing with that material because it will just brush off. You need to have the tooth texture in order to make the medium stick to the paper. Okay, so make sure that you have the paper before we get started, and then we'll move on to working with your oil pastels. All right, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a color scheme. So if you're unsure of the color schemes, go back into your sketchbook and take a look at the color scheme page. Okay? So I'm not going to be drawing this realistically. I'm going to pick a color scheme to work from. Okay, so I'm going to go with split complementary. Okay, and I'm going to look back and find my color wheel and pick a split complementary color scheme. I am going to go with yellow, blue, and purple. Okay? So once I've done that, I'm going to get out the oil pastels and I'm going to pick from my color scheme. Okay, I'm going to go with purple, blue, and yellow. That is a split complementary color scheme. Okay. Once I have my colors picked out, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create my palette up here at the top. Alright, so I'm going to draw this pumpkin. First thing I'm going to do with my light sketching pencil is lightly sketch the pumpkin. Make sure that you are drawing very large and taking up the majority of the paper. I do not want to see some little tiny itty bitty pumpkin in the middle of the paper. It is fine if your pumpkin goes off the sides of your paper and cut some of it off. That is perfectly acceptable. Okay, now I have my drawing of my pumpkin. I have my color palette, which is my split complementary. Now I have to take these colors and apply them to the values on the pumpkin. Remember, value is the lightness or the darkness of a color. So I'm going to look at my pumpkin and determine where are my darks, where are my lights, and where are my midtones, okay? It's pretty obvious that the darks are in the crevices, and then the highlights are going to be in the areas where the pumpkin kind of is protruding and sticking out. Okay, there's also some darks up here in the stem, and it'll cast a darker shadow onto the table. Okay, remember, this is not looking for realistic colors. We are looking at getting the correct value by using a color scheme. Right, now I am ready to get in with the oil pastels. Look at your pumpkin, notice where it's dark and light, and then you can start drawing. Notice that the oil pastels are waxy like a crayon. You cannot use your finger or tortillon to blend them. You must actually layer them on top of each other in order to see a blend. You might want to layer many times. When you layer, you might notice that the colors will mix together. Like when I layer this yellow over top of the purple, you're going to see it's going to turn a little bit red. When I lay it on top of the blue, it's going to turn a little bit green. That is totally fine. You want to try to get rid of all the little white spaces of your paper. So layer continuously until you don't see any white anymore. Okay? You can even come in with a different color like a white and layer if you need to. Notice that I added black to my palette at the top. I decided that I needed a darker color in those darker shadowy areas in order to make it pop a little bit more. So if you notice that you need to add another color to your palette, like a black, you need to go ahead and do that. And I'm just going to continue throughout my pumpkin, layering the colors on top of each other to get them as blended as possible. Remember, no finger blending or tortillon is going to work with the oil pastel. And when I am finished with the pumpkin, I'm going to go ahead and look at the bottom area where I can see if there is a cast shadow, and I'm also going to put a little cast shadow in at the bottom with my oil pastel.